now available in paperback. From the author of the critically acclaimed book The Man Crisis comes The Woman Crisis. Learn why so many women have become lost in their quest to have it all in The Woman Crisis. Get your copy of The Woman Crisis in paperback at Amazon.com and online booksellers today. A 51-year-old man drove a city bus into a daycare in Laval, Quebec, killing 2 children and injuring 6 more. Now, in this incident, bus driver Pierre Ni Saint-Armand allegedly drove his bus into a daycare in Laval, Quebec, taking the lives of 2 children and injuring 6 more. And after crashing his bus into this daycare, he allegedly wound up stripping off all of his clothes and began babbling incoherently, not making any sense. Now, the Canadian RCMP are seeing this as an isolated incident, but when I take a critical examination of the actions of Pierre Ni Saint-Armand, they fit the pattern and profile for beta males that I talk about in my book, The Man Crisis. And it's possible that Pierre Ni Saint-Armand could have been simmering and boiling in anger for an extended period of time, like many beta males do when they are frustrated about the state of their lives. And because they're so frustrated about the state of their lives, what these men do is explode in a rage and wind up participating in a spectrum of violent behaviors. Unfortunately, when he wound up participating in that spectrum of violent behaviors by using his city bus as a weapon, he wound up taking the lives of people who could not defend themselves, the small children who attended this daycare center and were just looking to spend the day at this center while they waited for their parents to come home to pick them up. These children had no way of defending themselves at all, but from my research, I find that many beta males oftentimes go to hurt small children because they feel powerless about the state of their lives and because they want to hurt others who they know will fight back against them. What they do is target those who cannot defend themselves, and in this case, this man may have possibly gone out here and harmed those small children who could in no way defend themselves. And again, this is the type of behavior that many beta males participate in because many beta males fear conflict, and because many beta males fear conflict with adults in authority, and they fear taking power in their own lives to change their own lives. What happens is that many of these males just lash out in a rage and try to hurt those who have no power or agency for themselves. Now, it's believed that this bus that crashed into the Quebec daycare could possibly have been a bus on the route, and it was supposed to make a stop at the bus stop a few yards away. However, it looks like maybe this driver was frustrated about the state of his life and having to drive this bus, and since he felt like his life was going nowhere, he decided to explode in this rage. And as he exploded in this rage, he drove this vehicle into this daycare, hoping to go out here and seek attention by doing something infamous because he felt like he could not achieve or accomplish anything. This is a pattern that many beta males have whenever they feel like their lives are not meeting their expectations or their desires or goals. What they do is get frustrated. They simmer, seethe, and boil in anger for extended periods of time, and because they're sitting there frustrated and angry about the state of their lives, and they feel powerless to change things and feel like they are too afraid to confront those who they feel have more power than them, what these individuals do is lash out at the world and again attack those who cannot defend themselves. And this is where their behavior has malice of forethought, because again, a small child attending daycare is under 5 years old in many cases, and this child is barely aware of themselves. They have no ability to protect themselves, and that's what makes the acts of these kind of beta males extremely cowardly. Now, after crashing this bus into the daycare, it is alleged that Pierre Ni Saint Armand took off all of his clothes and then began ranting and raving and running around, and he was just going berserk. And as children were dying in this daycare center, one child died at the scene, several had several injuries, and another died at a hospital. And an adult was so traumatized as to be treated for shock of seeing all of the horror happening around her with these school-age children. This man was babbling incoherently, and some would say that this is mental illness, but I don't really believe it's mental illness, because with beta males, a lot of them, they lash out in anger like this, and it's just them being angry, and they take it out on those who are innocent because they feel like they cannot change the state of their world. But the reason why their world doesn't change is because many of these beta males want to keep their world smooth. So many of these beta males, they don't want to take the action or the agency to change their world because they want to keep their world smooth, and because they want to live in a world where they have no problems, no conflicts, and no obstacles, and no challenges. Many of these men don't make efforts to change their lives, but they get frustrated about the stagnation of them because they don't want to go out and change anything, because they want to continue living in that rose-colored reality where everything stays the same, and as the picture stays distorted and dysfunctional, they see others doing well, but then they get mad about those people doing well, and they want to have some progress, so they feel the only way they can have progress is by going out here and destroying the lives of others. Now, some say that this driver was in another world, and I'd have to say, yeah, he definitely was in another world, because when it comes down to beta males, they live in a place I call the rose-colored reality, and that world looks and feels like our world, but everything is distorted, and it's oftentimes distorted because many of these men don't feel adequate about themselves as men, and they feel the only place they can feel adequate about themselves is a place I call the secret world. And this guy probably thought that the only way for him to feel adequate about himself was in the secret world, and he probably felt safe enough to participate in this violence, because a lot of times these beta males, when they participate in this violence, they're not in our world, they're in their secret world, and in their secret world, people aren't people. No, people are objects, and this is their way of being able to deal with a world that frustrates them. They want to hurt people, but they don't want to do it in the real world, so they go to the secret world to do these acts. And this guy possibly went into his secret world as he was driving the bus, and he drove the bus into the daycare center, and he didn't care about the lives of the people because he was in his secret world, and he thought, oh, I got away with this, and now I'm going to pretend to act crazy, and now I'm going to try to use this to get away from this crime that he's committed. But a lot of times these guys, even though they're in that secret world, they are of sound mind, and this guy possibly could be of sound mind as he was participating in murdering these children, because this is, again, the mind of the beta male. Hurt those who can't fight back, and hurt those who can't fight back because you are hurting about the state of your life, and they're hurting because they don't have the courage to go out here and change their life. Now, this guy may be in another world in his own mind, and what will happen is he doesn't know that he's on his way to another world, and if he is convicted of the murders of these two children in Canada, he will be going from the world of driving buses to the world of the penitentiary, where he will be confronted by Bubba, Tiny, Roscoe, and Big Dave, and they definitely are going to be changing his world as they trade that booty and spit roast him, as they trade him for Little Debbie Snacks Cakes, Taster's Choice Coffee, Ramen Noodles, packets of Crystal Light, Kit Kat candy bars, Special K cereal bowls, Teenage Ninja Turtle pies, Fritos chips, cups of soup. I mean, he's going to be getting traded back and forth because they really don't like child killers inside of the penitentiary, And I guarantee you, if he is convicted, he is going to get turned out, and he won't have to worry about driving the bus anymore, because they're going to be running a train on him inside of that penitentiary, both front side and back side, uptown and downtown. He is going to be completely turned out. And again, this is what happens to your beta male, because your beta male doesn't have the courage to go out here and make the changes in their life. So ironically, things change because they try to destroy the lives of others. And as they try to destroy the lives of others, what they do is wind up with their life changed for the worse, because these men don't have the courage to go out here and make a change as related to a career that they're dissatisfied with. Because I believe this 51-year-old man was dissatisfied with his bus driver job, and he wanted to change his life, but he didn't want to go out here and put in that work. So what he did was lash out at those who could not defend themselves. And I'll keep repeating that because I want people to understand these are small children. They could not fight back. They could not run away. They didn't even know this was coming. I mean, this monster, as I see it, murdered those children. And again, murdered those children because this man, who had a midlife man crisis, could not go out and step up to be a man. And again, I'm seeing an increase in frequency of these incidents. This is like the third or fourth one I've seen in Canada. And I remember the one that I was told about by a viewer about the guy who shot up his condo board because he didn't want to move. I mean, again, beta males don't want to make changes, but if you want to have the life that you want, you have to go through pain and you have to make changes. But these men don't want to change. And again, that's a problem with the beta male that leads to this frequency and violence that I'm seeing. Because I remember this case reminds me of the Walmart shooter who wound up shooting up the store he was a manager at because he didn't like his co-workers. Again, this man could have easily changed his life. I mean, if we're in a boom job market, these men could just easily just go out and get other jobs. But these men, because they want to stay in their smooth world, they would rather be victims in the smooth world than go out here and be men and move their lives forward. And what's sad is innocent children wound up with their lives changed forever because this man refused to acknowledge the fact that he was a man in crisis. Now, if you want to learn more about what motivates beta males to participate in their dysfunctional and violent behavior, you can pick up my book, The Man Crisis, on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. You can also find The Man Crisis at other online booksellers like Smashwords, the iBookstore, and Google Play. And if you want to see me make more men's issues videos like this, you can donate to my Patreon, my PayPal, or my Cash App by clicking the links in the description box. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe.
Now available in paperback and Kindle Unlimited, The Man Crisis. Learn why so many men are struggling to find their way in an increasingly gynocentric world in The Man Crisis. Get your copy of The Man Crisis in paperback and Kindle Unlimited today.